Hello, how are you? Let's start with what's happening around the world. And look, in Venezuela, some pretty strange movements are being reported. Something is happening with Padrino himself, this defense minister, and some people believe he might be rebelling. We have to remember that he has been very quiet lately. Diosdado Padrino is the one who appears the most, along with Delcy Rodriguez. And right now, some movements claim, at least on social media, that there could be an uprising, a movement, well, I imagine. Or they make several people nervous. Obviously, there is discontent and there is a division within this regime, in which they talked about this exit, about this attempt to take oil without even paying Petróleos de Venezuela, Sociedad Anónima, something that would have helped the United States recover that ship, and well, this would have been a move made by Mr. Saab. This time we're discussing Emil Padrino. What's going on? What's being reported?
But what has been reported and has drawn attention in the last few hours is that he held a closed-door meeting with high-ranking military officials in which he ordered a Type B barracks lockdown for the Bolivarian National Armed Forces. This is a measure that requires 50% of the personnel to stay physically inside until they are given orders for a change. And, well, in the midst of what has been described as a hybrid war, after what happened on February 3rd, this has drawn a lot of attention. Some analysts say that maybe it's a move by Padrino against Delcy, a rebellion against her. It was already noticeable, well, he didn't seem comfortable since Delcy took office and he had basically been forced to go. That's what others claim. And well, during this meeting, Padrino stated that Venezuela has been the target of an algorithmic precision operation. According to him, techniques based on artificial intelligence were used, capable of identifying targets and making decisions in real time. In his opinion, what happened during these events forces a rewriting of Venezuela's military doctrine, and to adapt to what I call a cognitive and hybrid war.
This moment. In this post, about 9 hours ago, they published that Padrino had publicly expressed his loyalty and support to Delcy Rodriguez. And then this movement happens. Now, we have to remember that for several days now, most of the rumors that have appeared are about Padrino. I mean, rumors about whether he's been poisoned, whether he's in a hospital, whether he left.
Whether he's been seen in Spain.
He's reportedly been seen in Spain, where most of the rumors originate. And well, obviously this also draws attention because something is happening internally regarding Padrino. Is he really loyal, as he says, or is there something more going on here? The thing is that, in the end, the power lies with either Diosdado or Padrino, or both. But Delcy Rodriguez needs at least one of them to be able to stay in this government. She tries to manage, not a government. It's either between her and Diosdado, or between her and Padrino, or among the three of them, right? One of those could try to make it more sustainable. We should also remember that this morning, as Delcy Rodriguez herself mentioned, who is now called the acting president, right? That's the position they've given her. It's striking that she once again sends a message challenging Donald Trump. Yes.
Yes, I mean...
a message that brings up the same narrative as always again. And you say, well, the situation is very bipolar, let's say. It's not a situation where things are clear. There's a pretty strange game going on. And in this ambiguity, at least trying to maintain it, like someone who is distant from the United States. But here, they talk, call, and make agreements, even for years. It's not that it's being planned for her to come to power. That's also why, apparently, there's an interest in keeping her there. We have to pay close attention to the meeting that's going to happen in these days, between Maria Corina and Donald Trump. I think it's this Thursday.
I think the meeting is this Thursday, a meeting that Donald Trump was kind of avoiding. But, well, he hasn't been able to stop it. And, well, this meeting will be on Thursday, so let's see what comes out of this now.
Among this movement you're talking about, is this situation also included? Or is it the same thing, right? Is it the same movement to bring Petróleos de Venezuela, SA, closer? It seems like that's the most interesting part for them right now, not trying to control that part. Now, today there were also some movements, I don't think it's every day, but there have been a lot of movements from the collectives in the streets. They've been showing up, going around the streets. I imagine they're showing a bit of strength. or a lot of strength just so people won't go out and protest. What they've also been telling us from over there, from Venezuela, is that stores are starting to run out of supplies. Because of all this back and forth going on, the stores aren't stocked, or at least many of them aren't stocked. What they're telling us is that shortages are starting to happen.
It's happening with medicines and certain foods. Although I remember about 2 or 3 days after the kidnapping, they captured Nicolas Maduro. Yes, humanitarian aid from the United States was arriving in Venezuela, but the ongoing shortage has lasted for years.
Has also been going on for years. And I mean, today, multiple people over there are speaking out, even some famous people in Hollywood, right? They have been making strong criticisms about what has happened with Venezuela, especially because it seemed like there was no plan. It just seemed like it was about taking Maduro away and getting a photo with Maduro. A lot of memes, a lot of attention, but really, few positive changes, let's say, for Venezuelans, at least so far. And in this situation, the big question is, what's the point of being or applying the doctrine? Don Roe, don't they call you now?
That Trump invented?
If before it was the Monroe Doctrine, now he says it's the doctrine Don Roe, what is that doctrine good for? So, what's the point of intervention if things remain the same or get worse afterward? And here? But clearly not for the people, and that's the part heavily criticized, even in the United States Congress, as he says. And that's why any future move toward Venezuela has also been limited, which would have to come through Congress. So I think that's also giving a certain margin of maneuver to Adelcy Rodriguez. And this is where possibly those affected, whether it's Padrino or Diosdado, are the ones who aren't liking the situation. Because ultimately, it won't be favorable. Now it benefits a new power. The longer that power remains, the more it will solidify. And that's the part that could cause a clearer break. That's what I imagine will happen in the next few days or even in the next few hours, because this could also move very quickly.
Exactly.
We don't want to see any chaos in our neighbor Iran. We don't deny that there are certain problems in Iranian society and the state, but these problems...
Meanwhile, the drums of war keep beating between Iran and the United States. We'll talk to you about that in a moment. What's the plan? Because there's already a plan that talks about attacks on certain points in Iran. In other words, the possible advance of the United States is already being discussed. Although for now, it's only known that the soldiers who are in the Middle East are the ones on alert, not in any other region, as far as is known at least. But it's very striking that Turkey has now gotten involved in the situation. Turkey has stepped in to make a series of comments in which basically they draw a red line. Turkey warns the United States, warns Israel to stay out of Iran. They even go so far as to criticize. Well, how have the protesters been supported, sending them messages to keep going that they will be protected? That kind of thing has obviously bothered Iran, but it's surprising that now Turkey appears and sends this message.
Exactly what we saw in the image. At the beginning, there will be Merzelik, who is the spokesperson for the ruling party, President Erdogan's party in Turkey. And he had warned that there shouldn't be any foreign intervention in Iran because it could cause instability in the region. It's a region that is really always quite unstable. Just a slight push and war breaks out immediately. He adds that the solution to these problems must come from the state's national will. Iran, and that's what Selig said, that any external intervention would lead to even worse results.
Well, that's the message Turkey is sending. Like saying, don't enter this area. Very similar to what the spokesperson for the Houthis was saying. This message catches my attention because it's basically about the Middle East uniting to prevent a confrontation between Iran and the United States. And here's where the tough part comes in. What is the United States planning to do? What do we know so far? Because there is talk of potential attacks on South Africa, areas where they have ballistic missiles. There is also talk of attacks that are, let's say, already pre-approved, so to speak, not attacks on areas where they apparently have nuclear facilities.
To begin with, a very important point is that today it is known that Donald Trump feels very inclined toward an attack on Iran. No, not just a diplomatic attack or sanctions anymore. We're already talking about an attack with some kind of missile or something like that. The President of the United States has this inclination. He was presented with many options, including attacking nuclear sites, as Pippi said, or carrying out an attack on ballistic missiles. But he hasn't made a final decision and is exploring all the proposals that the military presented to him. And well, even though Trump has been threatening Iran with these attacks, it's not clear yet if the United States bombs could also change the situation in Tehran, because it could have the opposite result.
Well, what those who have been, let's say, close to this are saying, and what some sources have told Axios, what they say is that the red line was crossed when it was confirmed that about 600 people had died, not in that first report, although now they're talking about 6,000, it would be about 6,000. But let's say from a more conservative point of view, it's believed to be 600 people, although the numbers are a lot higher. But anyway, with that, the red line set by the United States, specifically Trump, for the Ayatollah's regime was crossed. Don't shoot at the people. And well, this was obviously apparently the opposite. It seemed like things even escalated because it had been relatively calm and suddenly they started shooting with machine guns. Just like now, searching for the mask. The number of victims is unbelievable. Attacks were ordered on the population, basically in different places, and this supposedly is the straw that broke the camel's back. That's when the balance shifted toward conducting an operation inside Iran.
Exactly. And well, if the United States ends up attacking Iran, the targets would be what they are, the regime forces linked to internal repression. They wouldn't attack civilian or nuclear infrastructure. That's what the Axios report says at least, but the New York Times says something different. The New York Times does say that there could be attacks on what would be nuclear sites and ballistic missile facilities, which are two different versions.
Have the extra sanctions already started? The 25% tariff was announced for all countries that continue doing business with Iran. Basically, this would limit which country would dare to do any business with Iran. Because otherwise, they would be punished. At least that product or that sector would be punished by the United States.
Exactly. And in the afternoon, Caroline Lovett, who is the White House spokesperson, confirmed that airstrikes are one of the many options they have on the table, and that the administration is trying to prioritize diplomacy first, although internally, some United States officials warned that military action could be counterproductive, but Trump is more inclined toward this. Is he interested in removing the Ayatollah?
It seems the decision has already been made, at least based on the available information. That's what they say. Economic sanctions have already been imposed, and today we saw that the value is practically zero compared to the dollar or the euro.
For real, it's something?
So it's 0.000000. I mean, it's something that has no value anymore. That currency has collapsed, banks have burned down, government offices have burned down. I mean, there's a rebellion going on. If there's a rebellion going on, people keep coming out to protest. Obviously, today the protests have been more contained, according to what some media outlets are reporting. For example, some sources in Farsi, the Farsi version of W, for example, the German one said that yes, the protests seemed more contained today. Well, obviously, yes. If they recently eliminated 3,000 to 6,000 people, an impressive number, there is clearly a lot of fear now. But at the same time, the actions of these groups are also going further. They are going place by place. To take away all the Starlink antennas, they've already spent more than 100 hours with the internet blocked. Right now, we're basically facing total censorship of everything. Iran is attempting to mirror North Korea by enforcing the strictest possible censorship. That's essentially the decision the law has made for everyone. It's to further intensify the repression. And that's basically the approach they're taking. And well, that's what we assumed was going to happen here. We told you that this was the final phase, that it was the... What do they call those desperate last-ditch efforts? They're the most dangerous, since in that struggle, they can also drag you down. So it's just destroying for the sake of destroying, no matter what happens. So, The situation is very serious, and unfortunately, an invasion seems like the only thing that could make a difference, even though no one wants that. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel like here the young people will probably be left alone and nothing at all will happen. Either way, does Turkey say or do anything? No, they stay silent and want no intervention, just letting them handle things themselves. Are you speaking? Well, at least from what we've been able to observe, they're professional people with weapons and military-grade arms. Students against people, against young people who, well, yes, they're arming themselves now, but they don't have experience, nor the weapons or the ammunition. Well, yes, it's complicated. Not impossible, but the situation is definitely complicated. And for now, that's 100% the case. Uncertainty with it. I mean, there's no clarity about what's going to happen in a month, in 2 months. I can't imagine, you know? My bet would be that there's going to be a turn, not that there's going to be a change in the regime, but also from the way it looks, they're trying to go all out. Basically, no, so this whole situation is at maximum risk. By the way, another point is that the non-governmental organization Iran Human Rights released an image, but the verified data shows 648 people have lost their lives. But the real number would be between 6,000 and 7,000 people who have died. That's the latest figure, between 6,000 and 7,000. And, well, obviously at first it will be difficult to confirm, but there are more and more sources out there. EFE, for example, today said 5,000, so I was surprised that a news agency like EFE was talking about a number like 5,000. Yes, it surprised me. And other agencies are reporting slightly more conservative numbers. So there's a bit of everything there, but we're keeping an eye on these updates.
Not exactly. Right now it's complicated to know the exact numbers because the government isn't going to provide them. But based on certain observers from international organizations who provide information, it's just a little bit that can be leaked. Because right now there are actually very few Starlings that have managed to survive, so the number is just an approximation.
Yes, for example, FP had contact with this non-governmental organization, and they acknowledged that it could indeed be 6,000. Yes, however, the lack of internet, connection, and all that makes it difficult to confirm that number. Yes.
Yes, that's why today there are hardly any images, and it's going to be difficult to get images. In the morning, images were shared of the police entering houses, taking people away. The Starlings,
exactly. They claim that Russia would be firing this Orosnik hypersonic missile which hit a Ukrainian aircraft repair plant. This would be the moment of impact, this image, which can be seen taken by a security camera. The plant was dedicated to repairing airplanes, but at this moment there has been a ballistic missile attack on Ukraine, specifically on Kiev. There they report, well, that the sirens, for example, here you can't really hear them, but let's continue. According to the report, 20 ballistic missiles were launched against Ukraine in the last 2 hours and several swarms of drones against Kyiv. Let's see if you can hear it because the audio is very low, the sirens, like you can hear them there. You can faintly hear the sirens in the background. Well, that's how the evening is falling today in Ukraine, under ballistic missile attacks and under an attack from a hypersonic missile. What is known about this missile, about this plant?
do you remember that this Oreshnik missile was launched on what would have been Friday? And well, neither Russia nor the United States had commented on it at all, but today the Russian government came out to admit that yes, they launched a hypersonic missile, the Oreshnik, towards Lviv, which drew a lot of attention. Because it's very close to what is NATO territory, it's an area that could put Russia in danger or in trouble if it enters NATO territory. And well, today's excuse is that this attack on what is Lviv was an aircraft maintenance area that they had in western Ukraine, in the center west of Ukraine, and that's why they would have attacked this area Today, the European Union, Germany, France, and the United Kingdom immediately condemned it as an escalation. In fact, the United States also reacted to this attack and condemned Russia at the United Nations for the use of this hypersonic weapon in Ukraine before the Security Council, something that hadn't reacted yet, and it seems strange that the whole weekend had passed and there was still no response. Today, they responded at the Security Council, calling it a dangerous and inexplicable escalation.
And today they respond on security, inexplicable escalation, dangerous security, inexplicable. This is a missile that is not only about speed, but also about the distance it can travel, more or less 5,500 kilometers. Do you remember? When we see that Oresnik comes in, we see a lot of lights falling. Yes, and it's just one missile really, except that each missile. The missile carries several warheads, so it's a missile that flies, but then at a certain point it opens up, and each missile carries several warheads that start to fall in different places. And that's why it's so destructive, and that's why they say this is an escalation, right? He had already launched an Oresnik recently. Well, we talked about it the same day it was happening. We said that most likely it was an Oresnik. And well, now it's confirmed, both by Russia, by Europe, the United States, everyone, they all confirm what we mentioned. The weekend started with an Oresnik. Well, today it's confirmed. Now, between this and how things are today, Monday, January 12th, with those ballistic missile attacks, well, the situation looks complicated. The United Nations reacts very little. The United States has too many fronts right now with Iran, with Venezuela, and with so many things that, well, also using that as an excuse, it pays less attention to the issue of Ukraine, and Europe is dealing with the issue of Greenland. So it seems that the winds are not favorable for Ukraine at this moment, because in the end, that's also a reality these days. Conflicts, wars, or any challenge or problem. If it's not in the media, if it's not being watched, then much more serious things can happen. That's why...
Exactly. In fact, today I saw two people talking at one of these roundtables about the topic of Iran, and they were saying, initially the protests were ignored because attention was on Venezuela and Maduro's recent actions. But now in line, Ukraine has already dropped to 3rd or 4th place, because right now the media focuses on Iran, Greenland, Venezuela, and Ukraine.
Exactly. So, that's how things are. In the meantime, let's move on to another important topic, but just before we change the subject. Was there a direct problem today from the executive or from Donald Trump against, well, in the end, another branch, which is the one that has independence, which is the Fed itself? And well, today it is known that Secretary of the Treasury Bassett, in a meeting back in December, had warned him not to mess with the Fed, because this is going to cause a whole mess. He even told him, well, the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bassett, told the President just this past weekend, yesterday Sunday, that the federal investigation into the President of the Federal Reserve would cause a disaster and could be bad for the markets. He confirmed this in a report to the media outlet Axios, in which people who were close to this negotiation participated. The Secretary of the Treasury is not happy and made it known to the President, according to the report. So that's another issue also, one of those internal conflicts that are happening right now. Just remember that before we move on to different topics. There was a comment and it was needed, right?
It's already taken a while.
It took a while to appear, Tatan, but there it is.
What a good vibe Dad brings.
This one is because it's cold, the man is all bundled up. Well, the thing is that this man, Dmitry Medvedev, former president of Russia and a high-ranking official there right now in that country, well, he says that Trump should hurry up with Greenland. I mean that he should go and take Greenland already, because if he doesn't go for Greenland, Greenland could, or the Greenlanders could, vote to join Russia. If Trump delays and adds fuel to the fire saying, Russia go ahead, take Greenland, they'll side with us otherwise. Adding more fuel to the fire and also, as they say, more flavor to the stew.
Exactly. Well, to remember his position right now, he was president of Russia at one point. Let's say he helped her, Putin, a few more years, so it would seem like he wasn't there. But anyway, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now the vice chairman of the Russian Security Council and former president of Russia, issued this warning. That's good. According to him, Greenland could speed up a referendum to join Russia if Donald doesn't act quickly. Medvedev stated that this sudden referendum could be accelerated in just a few days. Because, well, the Greenlandic population isn't very large. It's 55,000 people, and they could join Russia, according to him. It's a message that's obviously mocking Donald Trump. Well, he's been very stubborn about the Greenland issue. And, well, Medvedev takes advantage of it to get attention more than anything.
Well, yes, exactly. And well, there's the message, right? Let's move on to other important topics as well. Well, something that catches my attention is what's happening with Cuba, which, well, the situation is obviously complicated. An agreement is being made with Mexico, the United States, and Cuba, with Cuba being the main beneficiary. He claims that the United States is going to allow Mexico to supply oil to Cuba, despite Trump's promise to cut off the supply. According to what Columbia Broadcasting System News, an American outlet, reports, this agreement was reached. It should be remembered that today the president of Mexico spoke with Trump. And according to what Claudia Sheinbaum said, yes, he insisted on a military operation in Mexico to attack trafficking groups, well, drug traffickers and all that. But they reached an agreement that it wasn't necessary, because Mexico is going to try harder, apparently. We should remember that the president was there, that she insisted on an operation in Mexico to attack drug trafficking. And even so, they came not to throw out. Remember, the president was talking with them, and what she insisted on was attacking drug traffickers. They reached an agreement, which is great.
Remember that the president of Mexico was talking, that she insisted on operations in Mexico, attacking trafficking, drug traffickers, all of that. But they agreed to put in more effort.
Remember that the president was talking and what drug traffickers are, they arrived at, it wasn't necessary. What? Are you going to try harder? On the other hand, it's the people who suffer, basically, when that help doesn't arrive.
Isn't he also cocky? Today he acted tough and posted photos of what he called the Cuban version of Delta Force. So he's got the whole war spirit going on, but he does put the population in danger.
Exactly, because it's striking that Diaz-Canel, instead of trying to take things a bit more calmly, for example, says, Trump, oh well, yes. They suggested negotiating, though I wasn't sure about what. Right away, Diaz-Canel said, no, we're not negotiating or anything else. So he says, okay, then clearly, at some point, there could be stronger pressure on that issue, right?
Maybe he wants them to take him away.
Maybe he wants to go to New York. Anyway, that's the back and forth on that issue. Let's move on to other key points.
Well, today an alert was issued for airplanes and airlines because of the space debris generated by SpaceX rockets. Because today there was a failure during the flight which left fragments near 2 commercial airplanes and a private jet. And this isn't the first time this has happened. These fragments have already fallen, for example, here in Mexico on a beach near Tampico, if I'm not mistaken, and in different places also in the Caribbean. They fell once. And well, this is concerning because at some point it could cause an accident. The Federal Aviation Administration, the well-known FAA of the United States, issued what's called a safety alert for operators directed at all airlines, warning them about a growing danger in the airspace due to space debris resulting from a rocket launch failure by the company SpaceX. And well, the immediate cause of the alert was an explosion of a SpaceX Starship rocket in mid-flight in the Caribbean, which left fragments near 2 commercial airplanes. And this is the private one we mentioned to you at the beginning.
Well, the immediate cause was commercial airplanes, and it's immediate. An explosion alert for 2 commercial airplanes, and this is the private one we mentioned at the beginning. The immediate cause of the alert was the explosion of commercial airplanes, and it is. The private one we mentioned at the beginning, and the immediate cause of the alert was the explosion of commercial airplanes. And it is the private one? And well, the immediate cause for alarm is an explosion on commercial airplanes, and it's private.
As we mentioned at the beginning. And the immediate origin the private one we were talking about, well, immediate origin of the private plane explosion we were talking about.
And there are all the others who are also there.
Trying to do the same.
The companies, also from China and other countries. It's a huge deal. And well, let's move on to other important topics. The Crown Prince and Prince Reza, as he is known, are urging Donald Trump to intervene as soon as possible so that the regime finally collapses. This calculation, which is a calculation, is also dangerous in the end, but it's a calculation that, well, the Crown Prince makes. Or he, let's say, well, the son of the former one, who tells him, look, it's now or never. Because it's hard for an opportunity like this to come up again. At least that's the vision that Raza Pahlavi has. As far as we know, this person, who has been in exile, is demanding a direct call to President Trump to intervene directly, assuring that only quick action will prevent more deaths among those who are protesting.
Exactly. Trump confirmed that he has been talking with Iranian leaders since Saturday, assuring that there were negotiations, but he did emphasize that if it starts, If the Iranian government started taking people's lives, then they would have to strike hard. And well, they have already been doing it for several days now, since Saturday. I think they started making these moves in Iran since Thursday. And well, the White House, through spokesperson Carla Levitt, made it clear that they have these options open. For her part, Pahlavi denounced the recent attempt by the Iranian regime to approach the United States simply as a strategy, just like Russia does. Have you already read the strategy of what do you want to negotiate and we drag everything out? Well, to stop the protests, it was claimed that the regime had already crossed all the red lines. I think the number is quite large to accept this. That yes, they have trampled all the rights of their own citizens.
Exactly. Well, we will be keeping an eye on that situation. Pahlavi's message is very clear. What he expects is for it to stop first. Has the regime's attacks on the population raised questions about whether they are sending Iranians to die by encouraging them to go out into the streets? Pahlavi said that this is a war with victims and that only strong international action can help to stop the bloodshed. In other words, she is obviously aware that there is a risk and people are aware of it too. This has been happening for decades. I mean, people know that going out is a risk, and they're doing it fully aware of the situation. And that's also why the escalation has been pretty intense, because this time, at some point, you started to see groups arming themselves among those who were protected during the protests. Well, right now, from what I've seen, they're not demanding, for example, any specific type of government. Instead, there are different groups. Some want that man to come back. Others are talking about different issues. Come on, there are all kinds of groups. I mean, there are even some more radical groups out there too. There's everything. There's all sorts out there. I saw some analysts on different media outlets, let's say, but for international media, and they said that what is clear is that they don't want the regime.
That's what I'm saying. Well, what is Trump going to negotiate? I mean, in the end, it's also an internal problem and they would have to step out, right? So what are you going to do? What negotiation would make the regime step down? I doubt they'll negotiate that.
No. In any case, it would be the nuclear issue, right? The most they could negotiate is for there to be an inspection from the United Nations to see if they're making nuclear weapons. At this point, it's very hard to know, because since June, or even a little before that, all contact with the United Nations, this international organization that inspects nuclear risks, has been lost. It was lost and there hasn't been any more contact. Months have gone by and we don't know. And if they are developing it, then they're going to keep extending this situation for a while longer, and there won't be any way to avoid this situation. In fact, even this issue of the protests, the regime itself could also be using them to its advantage. Precisely to, well, become more aggressive and avoid the review of the nuclear issue until they are already armed. So, it's the people who are bearing the brunt right now. The people will have to stay well organized, because right now, what is being criticized about this situation is that it has been very poorly organized. It came from the people, very spontaneous and angry due to the ongoing crisis. No, but not with a clear structure like, let's do step 1, step 2, or what are they going to do? No, that part isn't clear. What's clear is they want them out, and there's a lot of anger. No, but beyond that, well, unfortunately, up to now they're not that organized. Now let's move on to another matter, also important. Let's move on to other topics, also interesting things that are happening. Look, here's a report. This is from about 3 days ago that was released by the British Broadcasting Corporation. It's this one right here, and it's very interesting because for several days now, different analysts have started to come out. British Broadcasting Corporation, this is from what's called Newsweek. I mean, media outlets from the United Kingdom, the United States, international media, Wall Street Journal, etc. And they bring up this idea that one of the 3 most likely scenarios is precisely a breakdown within Venezuela.
Okay, they do see it as possible.
And the most interesting thing about this is that you write here, In the community, the Venezuelans who watch us have told us exactly the same thing. But from day one, what the Venezuelan community saw was, could there be an internal split and possibly a coup d'etat? Within one of these three figures, which is Diosdado, mainly Padrino, who would be another person who could do it. Obviously him, since he's in power, so a coup from Diosdado or Padrino could just return things to the same situation without real change. But obviously the risk for them is that since they've already acted against Maduro, after a while, they could be next. Right now what Delcy has is that it allows Delcy to negotiate. It's because there were already talks with her before, and let's say she's willing to discuss certain topics, and she doesn't have direct accusations from the United States that she was involved in trafficking issues. Even if she is, at least right now, even if she were right now, officially, the United States doesn't have a direct accusation against her. And so, with that, can Trump justify negotiating with this acting president?
What do they call her exactly? For now, let's just say she's not in this network, not in the Plan El Rico. No. Where do you draw the line? Who would be responsible for this famous cartel of the Suns? Well, there are many questions, and it really does exist. There are lawyers in Spain who say that, well, the whole case against Donald Trump is going to fall apart, and that maybe they'll have to return Maduro. But honestly, that seems pretty unlikely. It's true he's no longer the boss of the souls, as I mentioned before.
Donald Trump no longer appears. Another scenario is also being considered. It's unfortunate, but that's the situation. That the status quo of everyone there is maintained, that the regime basically stays the same, and everything remains as it is, just with a different face, not using the visible face. It was Maduro, now it will be Delcio, Diosdado, or whoever, and the situation will continue for a longer time. Also, it's concerning how quickly they adapted to having Maduro out. Basically, it took them one day and they started airing the same shows again. They just cancelled one or two programs, but all the other shows have been showing up. Weren't they always talking about Con el Mazo Dando and all the shows that Diosdado does and the others too? That kind of thing, that type? Trying to keep things normal, the normality, the status quo to maintain that power, right? And that's also unfortunate. Let's move on to other important matters.
Well, the Pentagon just announced that they have attacked what appears to be a boat again in the Caribbean. But this time, the Pentagon claims to have used a secret plane that looks like a civilian aircraft. That would be the first attack on a vessel. This would be over there. The one that happened in September was actually attacked with a plane that looked like a civilian aircraft. It's just that today this report comes out, which draws a lot of attention. It says, according to the report, the aircraft didn't have any visible weapons under its wings, nor were there any, and the ammunition was hidden inside the fuselage. So basically, it looked like a civilian plane. And the officials mentioned that they observed this in the surveillance footage. The recordings show that the aircraft descended to a low altitude and carried out the attack on this boat, which is the boat that was attacked twice. In fact...
Exactly. So, well, more information about these topics is coming out. It's also not clear how many people have been released from prison. I mean, today the Venezuelan regime said there were 116, then it turned out there were only 50, and even other lists mentioned fewer people, not the release from prison. I mean, the release of political prisoners, which was announced several days ago for now, is still causing a lot of uncertainty for the families. They ask, when? Because it hasn't happened yet. For example, the government says they released 116 people from prison, but according to the non-governmental organization Foro Penal, they have only confirmed 49 who have actually been released. Among them are some Italians we mentioned today, as well as 5 Spanish citizens who were also reportedly released from places that are known. At least it seems like they have prioritized foreigners in these releases. Enrique Marquez is also among them as one of the confirmed released individuals. Vialo Pileri, a close collaborator of Maria Corina, the opposition leader. So it's extremely slow, and obviously that's where you speak. Either it's an internal split where they do whatever they want, or they're managing the release of political prisoners. It's like they're being used as bargaining chips, right? I mean...
Exactly. Right now, I can't say they're releasing them, but they're also returning the bodies of some who may have died in custody, right?
Well, this whole situation is a joke. They're definitely not operating the way people thought they would, and sooner or later, either the United States resumes operations in Venezuela, or, well, things are just going to drag on as much as possible. They're going to stretch this out as long as they can. Holding on to power, not putting pressure on the opposition, whoever they may be, and this is also, well, that's an extremely delicate issue, but let's move on to other important matters. See you later. Alright, let's see who's here. Thanks to everyone in the community watching live for sharing. There are several scenarios regarding Venezuela. One of them is a coup d'etat. Another is that the status quo continues. And there's also another scenario. It could be a hybrid, right? A hybrid between some people like, let's say, dictators from history, for example, or let's say people from authoritarian regimes. Consider Spain's situation when Franco left power, for example. I mean, many of the figures who were part of that regime, ultimately a dictatorship, later continued working in the government. I mean, already as a democracy. So what happens is...
What happens, which is very common?
Exactly. What is believed is that there may be this kind of hybrid movement where a democracy is just beginning. And some people, let's say, could continue, let's say, operating, right? I mean, as politicians or as...
Exactly. As long as they haven't committed crimes, like war crimes, I don't know, against your own people, whatever you want to call those kinds of crimes against humanity, well, I think they can keep operating.
Maybe they'll try to find a middle ground, I don't know. Honestly, it's still a complicated issue, and some solution will have to be found. As always, solutions are never perfect. They're not always a middle ground. But well, let's see what happens. And we have to stay alert to what's coming. In the meantime, well, what does the community say?
Greetings to Maximiliano Castilla, Rigoberto Bermudez, Pablo Chirinos, Tito Cotiello, Mandrade, Leonardo, and greetings from Venezuela. And what's most concerning is that even with a new government, Iran would still need a long time to restart the economy and stabilize the currency. Yes, it's going to take them quite a while.
As a professor, yes, it's theft.
Hello to Edilcia Sendeño and Ina Luciano Preciosa, who says good evening to all. Astrid, you look great today. Thanks, she says. That lipstick looks great on you. What shade is it? A blend of 3? Greetings. Yes, it's 3. Greetings also to Jose. Since there are more than 1,000 prices in Venezuela, says Jose.
There are over 1,000 prices, but several are mentioned. Many argue whether it's the helicoid or the rodeo. Some are in prisons on military bases. Or yes, there are many. There are a lot of people.
Exactly, says Martin. What kind of society have we become? Where they promote a game with the slogan "Fun Playing War," as if killing is enjoyable, says Martin. Regards, Martin.
Regards, Martin. Very good.
Greetings to William, who is watching us from Peru.
Very good.
Also, Beto Barba says, "Hi, I'll give you my 90s camcorder. It's square, not like today's, so you can record statements from the government of Venezuela." Yes, I think it has better resolution.
Your camera will probably have better resolution. That's wild. I don't know how they do it. It's a question, well, yes, I would like the regime to answer it someday because this is a whole style. It's just that all the shows they make, they add scenery and they add things. But the quality has to be terribly bad, right? The fixed shot with those typical studio movements, but the quality is awful, right? That gives it a lot.
Who knows if that's the idea or how they create that static look? Even with an old camera, I don't think you can achieve it.
No, it's hard. I mean, it's something they do on purpose. For some reason, they do it on purpose.
To look poor. I mean, like when you used to earn just a couple of bucks.
He said he earned $2, but there's significant investment behind it. Because I've seen the behind the scenes footage and I'm like, wait a minute. They're using professional cameras. They're just pretending to be working, right? About accounts, it's a really weird thing.
Greetings to Angie, Pepe, Astrid. Love the lipstick. Which one is it? And Ruedura de Tres. Hi, everyone.
Do you know all three? Do you know which ones they are?
Can I get them since I forgot the name?
If you want to. We made a discovery. That's another story, not this one. Well, we haven't eaten the cake, and we weren't going to eat the cake anymore. And the tradition here with the kids, the guys, we did want the cake, and yeah. We went to look for one, and we went to, several places. And we found that at El Fresco, they still had some left. And I think it's the best cake I've ever tried. I mean, it's really good. It's really good, right? So this isn't an ad, but what about the little figurines that come with it, right? Like baby Jesus or Mary and Joseph, right? Those are the three that came with it. By the way, I didn't get any of them, and all three are ceramic and beautifully painted. Everything looks great. Honestly, I think next year we're going to try to do it again with them, right? Here in Monterrey, Fresco didn't exist before. It's only been around for a few years. These kinds of stores are more common in the center of the country. But yes, their bakery is really good, and specifically the rosca, it was really well made, honestly. No, this one says rosca with chicharrones. That one, yeah, I can definitely see it around here. Not the one with the meat. It would be Ramos or something like that, right? They've already made things like that. Some pretty wild stuff. Honestly, I'm not even a fan of the classic rosca to begin with. I mean, I'm not really a fan of rosca in general. I just eat it for the tradition, but this time it really surprised me. I mean, it was really good. Honestly, it really was. So let's talk about the rosca. Today we're going to talk about the rosca. Roscas are special. Come on, isn't it really good? No, it's really good.
It's not much, honestly. Today I was really tempted to go back and buy another one.
It's because we bought
a smaller one because I said to myself, I just want it for Sunday and Monday. I don't want to see it anymore ever again. No. And no, yes, it was good. Yes, really. Yes, I'm mad at past C, but oh well, what can you do?
Yeah, so we bought the smallest one they had and basically just a piece for each of us, and that was it. And after that, ching.
The baby came out, not for Pepe. Pepe, I thought the donkey was going to get it for Pepe, but nothing came out. He was saved.
No,
it's not ready.
Monitos. It's ready, the Monitos.
There it is. Okay, let me first just show these colors. Here they go. They're all from Visu because I'm really stingy with makeup. There it is. This one is super dark.
But it almost has...
which isn't what it's called. Now for the edge and then to fill this in, let's see if I have to put my hand here. Just like everyone who shows makeup, it's called Tequila, the card Tequila, and that's the end. This one is like a gloss called Nebula. They're all from Visto. They have a website here, but not here.
It is.
It's advertising. I don't get paid, but let me do it for the little figures.
She says, Tapatía. She's honest. All the roscas taste bad to me and make me feel gross. Exactly. I'm not a fan of that either, but this time, really, really good. I don't know. It's like I said, everyone got one except me. I mean, they got the youngest, the oldest, and little stars. Here they're going to pay for the tamales. I'm not getting involved with the tamales. Let them take care of that for February 2nd. No, yeah, I didn't get any this time. And the part, I don't know how to call it, but it has some, candies, right? That are kind of like ate. I haven't had really bad luck with the roscas or whatever, but they're always kind of hard. You take them off because they were hard. This time they're not there. It's kind of fresh, really tasty in the part that has the sweet topping they put on conchas. Yeah, it's really well made. It's also not too sweet. We're going to do a special about Miran. Look, also Los Bonitos. She was at a camp with the plastic.
The usual cheap plastics.
Exactly, and they're for playing?
They cook it with a plastic inside and make...
I mean, there it is. Look, it's a ceramic bonito. It's not that they're not focusing on us there. It's a bit focused. That's the cost. Jose, and then there goes Maria. Maria leaves, a little bit ugly, but she's cute, kind of funny. And then there's baby Jesus, and that's tiny. It's really nice, really cool, because he comes with his little bed and everything. Look, you can't really see it. There's Jesus and Moses with his basket and everything. You put it by his little face and everything. It's really cool. I mean, look, listen, this... like ceramic, right? So this one, well, it's really good, and they all stand up. Well, not the baby, because the baby is lying down, right? But let's say Maria and Jose can stand. You can put everything together and make a little nativity scene next year.
That's how it looked. I have it, and the baby is beautiful, very cute. You know, Maria's face looks kind of swollen like that. They really overdid it. It's just that she just had a baby. Her head is almost twice the size of poor Jose's.
We've fallen. In the meantime, let's put it here. No, I don't have anything ready for the map of how things are. Okay, let's get closer. That's fine.
And that's it. And 2. Oh, how beautiful.
It's this one. You can see the face better there, but...
What else is said about that rock pistol that says shells and sticky? We're talking about the same thing. Shells are delicious. Who said that?
Is it that...
To run. Was it you? No.
No, I said it's just that also. Who says...
Huh? Did you say rock pistol?
Rock pistol horror isn't from Mexico, so are you referring to a different shell? Is that why?
Oh, are we talking about the same thing? Right, it's sweet bread, not bread.
Sweet bread is a pastry?
If you're Argentinian, it's a pastry.
They call it a pastry, yes.
In Argentina, yes.
To the concha bread?
She asks about the sweet bread and if she just gave birth. Yes, I know she did, but she looks pale. I believe her. After giving birth, you look really pale. But don't you think... Also about the face? No, about the face? No, well, I don't think so.
Don't get the wrong idea, that's all.
Yes, I put it on the shell, says Ebrezika. How pretty, and Christy says, oh, what a pretty little shell, really, you know? Pretty, says Edgar. She looks like you, the mom does. The mom really does look like her.
So those are the shells. Are they tasty or what? This part right here, it's like, how should I say it? Kind of like a type of candy.
Kind of sugary with something else. I don't know what it is. Look, the one that kicks you, say it kicks you.
Is the one that, well, kicks you.
She knows how, right? Or does she kick the good one? Yes, we don't know here.
But this kind of sweet was on its way. Like sometimes they make it in the conchas, it's kind of powdery, right? So you bite it and it kind of, yeah. And sometimes it's like really, I mean, you bite it and it doesn't.
And it's kind of moist. So I don't know, it crumbles all over.
But it's not wet. I mean, it's like it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's at a perfect point, right? Yeah, and that's how good it was. The point is that I would have liked to save a piece to show it here, but no, yeah.
I'm not going to hold back.
Tito, how are you, Piston?
He says, Aurelio Garcia says, just like in the mafia, just like in governments, there are always traitors in the United States. It won't take long, says Aurelio. I mean...
Greetings, Aurelio.
Greetings to the president who is always falling. He just sees that something is falling and he pretends not to notice that person. Greetings, yes.
Hello, how have you been? 67 is just powdered sugar and flour. Are you serious? I had no idea.
Not even for sugar, since powdered sugar is just crushed sugar. I didn't know that.
Oh, so it's just very finely crushed powdered sugar.
Okay.
It's a fine powder, don't you remember? Yeah, very.
Very fine.
Really good. Look, Lucia is here too. Lucia says it's powdered sugar, butter flour, and egg. Ah, well, yeah.
It has more things now?
Okay.
Lucia, can you add a coffee with milk? Sure.
Yes, a coffee with milk.
Hello, Mauro and Humberto. How are you?
Greetings, Humberto. How are you?
Hello to Yo-Yo and FTCN as well. What does Jose Gonzalez say? Like 498? Is that right? Greetings, FTCN. Greetings also to, they look delicious. They look amazing. Here they make some at the human immunodeficiency virus. It doesn't have egg. It doesn't have egg. It doesn't have milk. It doesn't have, I don't know what else.
The vegan ones.
The vegan ones, yes. And well, they say they're made of air, but they're really good, honestly. They're really good. Well, says Piston. The neighbor also likes to make wine, but in the concha. I don't know what Florencia's party is. She says the rosca from the state of Mexico only has children. Gods. Okay, it's the first time I've heard of other figures, Florencia. Here too, same. Here too, the traditional roscas always only have the baby. No, yes, but recently we've noticed other places adding small figures too.
Yes, but here it had never happened to us. It's the first time.
Yes, it happened too. The first one that came out was Jose, and I said, oh, that's strange. Jose came out, and then for me, I checked, and it came out for me too. I told the mom, Maria, that the baby would be nearby.
Exactly, and then him...
And then the Regal came out, which does say 67. It says, I love this shell cover. To my kitty, greetings to Domingo Lagones. He says, I greet you with my coffee and some Maria's cookies. Greetings.
This is the presentation for you to see. This is the presentation.
We're advertising at a low price to everyone. Who else wants it? Who else wants it?
This is how it came. It came in a little box. There were two sizes, I think. This was like the small one. And then there was another option, a little bigger.
And there was a Hershey one. Well, I took a moment.
Ah, yes, there was a Hershey one. It's really sweet, right? Just imagine. It's made with Hershey chocolate. And there's the figure.
Look, they all come. You have to buy the giant one.
You have to buy the big one.
And it comes.
Look.
It's good, bad, right? Just because of those darn monkeys. There's the little donkey. Look, you see?
If I had touched the little donkey, I would have really liked it. But yeah.
I would have liked it since the character is simple.
The photo doesn't have much quality. It's a shame because I would have liked to put the photo. Look, here's another image. Let's see if I can find it there.
You can't see them. Oh, yes, you can see them.
I'm not sure about this one. It doesn't look fresh.
There, the large size says, ah.
Yeah, there it is. But the photo's really bad quality.
No, you don't need to click the photo since it's just there to prevent downloading.
Okay, let's see.
Let's see. It says, here, Certified Boy says, oh, please, are you guys also criticizing President Trump? He's the best. The best fashion is with Claudia Chambona, who is Nanoka Nanaka. Certified Boy. Well, here we criticize everyone. I mean, we also criticize Claudia, we criticize Trump, and if Trump does something right, we say it, and if Claudia does something right, we say it, so it's fair.
We're not fanatics of anyone, but if you like someone and you call yourself their fan, well, you have every right to do so. Yes, that's what it says. Look, here it is there. They're all nice.
Right? Man, we're missing a bunch. Well recorded.
Soriana is heavy, huh?
That's Soriana?
That's Soriana, yes?
Okay, no, Soriana.
And Soriana, it's not from Fresco. No. It's not from Fresco. I don't know how things are. Like, who owns Fresco? How does that work?
Who does this belong to?
I'm not sure, but the nice ones do look nice.
Let's see if anyone knows, since it's new and not from Monterrey. It's the first one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beto Barroso says. The conchas, the bread, of course, with beans and ham and egg. That's weird, isn't it?
Who has heard of it? Yeah, that they put ham and stuff. Yeah, with beans. It's not... He says, who else says, who ordered mariachis? There are mariachis over there. Little bread. There's a little elephant. Yeah, also, he says, greetings, Tapantia. Griselda Vilche says, I ask, what is it for Reyes? Because that rosca is for Easter?
No, that one is for Reyes.
Yes, for Reyes. The
one you eat on Reyes. Here in Mexico and in Spain...
Also Spain, yes.
They brought it. This is something I've inherited from them. Okay. They call it Rosco Commercial Mexicana.
Of course.
Yes, that's right. It's the commercial Mexican version.
Yes, that fresh health.
I think they also eat it on January 6th, the Rosca.
They call it the Roscon. Okay.
Says Master Troy, the oil that goes to Cuba is stolen by Diaz-Canel. The poor Cubans are the victims, says Master Troy.
Hello, Master Troy. Very good.
If they shut it down for Precioso, I learned how to make the rosca during the pandemic in January 2021 because I had too much free time and now my family won't let me off the hook. If it happens each year. When you do something and it turns out well, you're done for because then it's like, if you do this and if you do that and if not, well, that's it. So you have to say, let's do it badly, says Maximiliano Castilla. No, just because red isn't blue, it has to be yellow. How?
What greetings, he says. Who else is out there?
Says Chris. The bigger rice will bring the whole nativity. Well, I think so, because usually the bigger the rice, they put more little figures. Well, if Chibi makes it, she puts a bunch of little figures. So you can split the cost of the...
Of the tamales?
Not just tamales, yes. Because if there are 10 people, imagine one person making tamales for 10. That's a lot.
Well, yes. Greetings, Emma Eliseo. Very good.
She says, Yes, it's sad to be a fan of a politician who will never know you exist, right? I mean,
Well, yes.
she says, question, says Griselda. Not sure if you've read it yet. Greetings also to Panterita Sismica Neri Salazar, says Pepe. One time I cut a rosca and I got a tape measure and a hammer. That's why I'm a carpenter. Oh, just kidding.
Greetings.
I forgot the little hammer. Yes, the little hammer, which was funny. Greetings to Eliseo Freire. How are you? Greetings, how? And to Shires, to Griselda Bianchis, who says, and over here it's a bad word. Over here, Concha, yes, a bad word.
For other countries.
Yes. Greetings to Marda, who says, oh, there's a coup in Venezuela, says Marda. She asks, nope.
That's the question. No, that's the question, right? Yes?
There are strange movements?
That or there will be, right? The question is in the title, right? That's the question, isn't it? I mean, it seems like things are heading that way, right? It seems like that's one of the possible scenarios. No, not exactly no. And what else is out there?
Well, let's say hello to Emma Andrade. How are you, Emma?
Greetings. Very good, Emma.
Claudia she says, in Catalonia they put a bean in the king's cake, and whoever gets the bean has to pay for next year's cake. Okay, I love the system. It's the Catalan system, this Catalan system. Okay. Here you have the baby Jesus, or now these new little figurines they put in, and whoever gets one has to pay. The tamales on February 3rd, February 2nd. Well, February 2nd, I've never eaten tamales. Not on the 2nd, not on the 3rd, not on any of those days.
I don't know.
I don't know when we Mexicans linked it together.
February 2nd, which would be Monday, February 2nd. Oh, Monday. Is it weird to eat tamales on a Monday?
Yes, but office staff don't care.
Well, yes, it's perfect for those who work in an office. Yeah.
Yes, greetings to Yulai Nunez. You can really tell with these people.
Their hatred for this place.
Hatred for who? Yulai here?
Yulai here to Yulai. No, nobody is hated here. At least not.
It's a very ugly emotion. It only hurts you, the people who hate. I mean, no, there's no need, says Angie. What a lovely tradition. In Argentina, they sell rosca, but without little figurines. Years ago they did, but not anymore. Oh, okay. So yes, there used to be figurines and they took them out.
And not anymore. And why did they take them out? How are you, Angie? Greetings. And people used to choke. No, who knows, but that's how it goes. How have you been? Very good, Francisco Canales. How have you been? Greetings. Very good.
Surely, if there were rosca like the one we eat here in the United States, it would be totally forbidden. You see that they don't sell Kinder chocolates because of how nice it will be to save money, right? I mean, the chocolate is super fragile. You can't eat it all.
But anyway, he says, I got the blue figurine.
The blue figurine, what is that about? Oh, they color the figurines, but why? The color decides what you need to bring. So if you get red, for example, did you get the sodas or what you were supposed to bring? And what about the chocolate? And that's how they do it. So everything is already divided up.
Yeah.
Not anymore. But if you think about all the supermarkets,
he says, put in a bean and whoever gets it, that's it.
He says, I didn't know about the bean.
Thank you to all the channel members for your support. You make it possible for us to be here every day. The members, those who support us through Super Chat, through PayPal, through all of that, thank you so much for that. He says, cheers, Pepe, they're very good. They say, thank you very much. Greetings, Nari. Greetings. How are things in Texas? He says, I didn't know that about the bean. Me neither. It sounds interesting.
Is it funny? Yes.
And the bean doesn't break, Luna?
It's a very hard big bean, so no, it won't break.
I say, hi, how are you? Very good, Martin Gutierrez. How are you, Carabel? Good evening, he says, the little blue bow. It means that you provide the house for the meal with tamales. Okay. Even though you'll have to provide the house, he says. Why did kids swallow them? And is that why they stopped including them? He says, okay, I think it's to cut costs. Greetings. Isn't there a coup in Venezuela? Well, no, because you have to read Disclap Play Greetings. It's a question. It's not a statement. I don't know if you saw the title, but it's a question, right? We're just asking a question. Greetings, Disclap. Very good. This one says, oh no, it says, enough talking about the pastries. Here in New Zealand, we don't celebrate. I don't even have a cake.
But watching a video and make it yourself like this so you don't stay wanting it.
You could still do it, yes.
Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, the ingredients are generic ingredients.
Plus the sweet touch of art. I don't know how,
You can make that one or the chocolate one yourself.
he says. You put the small figures in a bag, then into that. Okay, so everyone is responsible for it.
So they don't choke. Greetings to Dick's Mag, he says greetings, and also to William, who says, in Peru there's a tradition of eating panettone. Ah, yes, here they're selling it a lot. The panettone weighs a kilo, but Noche Buena comes with raisins and candied fruits. Recently, they're selling panettone in all sizes here, but I've never tried it or had the courage to.
No, we haven't bought it. We never saw it until you mentioned it and noticed it was already being sold here. Yes, this one. He says, but well, he says, how about it? President of Mexico? What do you think? The president? Mexico says, I listen to them and I fall asleep. I listen to her and I fall asleep, he says. Yeah, it's like she has a way of speaking.
Like it's not really hers?
Very much in Andrés Manuel López Obrador's style, as if she copied him, since that wasn't her style before. And yeah, honestly, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they use this kind of speaking style, but everyone has their own style. Now, what do we think about what topic, right? It seems they're trying to stand out on certain topics like security. But it seems like they're trying to do exactly the same thing in other areas. For example, this whole movement to take away autonomy from things like the Instituto Nacional Electoral itself, right? So today, would one of these people very close to the regime, let's say not the government, be talking or trying to justify why it's good to take that away? Well, independence, that it has independence, but not autonomy. You always see those struggles to take power away from other institutions. Well, in the end, that power vacuum that's being created, who's going to fill it? Someone will take it, right? And always with, well, I don't know. Politicians try to convince the people, especially when they know they have a certain group of followers, so they try to persuade, well, always to take away a little more of your freedom, right? Or a little more of your rights, or a little more from the other institutions they want to strip of power, right? So it's always a struggle for all governments, right? It seems so, says Trump. Please, a second round, he says. What are you talking about, Mario Gallardo? Oh, already in Venezuela? Okay, greetings, says Edgar. How have you been, you say? It's an Italian custom, says the panettone. The panettone, yes.
Yes, it has an Italian name, yes?
Which one? The bread, yes.
It says Caribbean. On February 2nd, the presentation of Jesus at the temple is celebrated, and whoever gets the baby in the tamale ring gives tamales as an offering.
All right, okay.
Okay, so on February 2nd, it's not 3?
It's the second, yes, the second.
It wasn't me, I was wrong. Greetings to Liceo, who says it's made with cream and egg. The bread? No.
The bread? No, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Greetings to Reax. Greetings from the cold city of the Subale, if there are passengers. Greetings, Reax.
Greetings, how have you been? Very good, Reax.
Greetings also to Maximiliano, who says, it is said that Diosdado Cabello was Hugo Chavez's lover, and Nicolas Maduro, since he was also a lover, they were all lovers of Hugo Chavez. So, do you have any idea who had Chavez? Greetings, Maximiliano.
Note that information has been circulating as gossip for some time.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Greetings to Mario Gallardo, he says. Greetings, Mario, and also to Edgardo, he says. Caribel says, we ate rosca from Costco and the kids were edible. Ah, yes, eat. I didn't like the cutting of the kids. Is the rosca from Costco good or not? Tell us. We've never.
Have you never tried it?
Yes, it's always done like Borodo does a lot. If people come and bring money, whether it's 1,000 or 300, they fight over it, but all that just makes me lazy. And we've never bought it.
Well, yesterday we went anyway.
Yes, we went, thinking there might be some left.
Because...
on Friday we saw...
It was on sale, right? Yeah, I said, let's go. Honestly, it seemed like a lot to us. I mean, yeah, it's too much. It's way too big for us. I mean, but we said, well, okay, let's do it. But there wasn't any... No, there wasn't... No. It's just that Diosdado, when he was young. He was said to be somewhat good looking and people commented on it. Yeah, I would say... I would talk like that.
Oh, well, there in the photo. Look, is it this one?
This one is great, Carilla.
Like they say, Carilla?
Yeah, well...
She's recently been in Balamedia Abajo?
I mean, yeah, well, that's what I was saying. So he is he the young Adios Dado? Yeah, right? So,
when he was thin?
Yeah, when he was thin, yeah.
Okay, thin?
Back then he had hair, let's say.
He had hair. I mean,
Something like.
if I made you slim with hair?
From there, you can get a sense of how they talked, though some things might just be gossip. The truth is, no, I haven't gotten into that, but I've heard those comments, says Carlos. Great, thank you very much. Greetings, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos.
How have you been all the way to Uruguay? Greetings, he says. Who else is in Montevideo? Awesome, greetings, he says. Who else is here? Caribel as well. Greetings, Angiofe Mendez. How have you been? Alex? G. Greetings, Beto Barba. How have you been? Rosca says, regular from Costco. He says, well, plain. He says, they make one, they make it with cream too, right? I mean, we don't stop them. Okay, we don't stop them.
Disapproved? Yes, I just don't like striped things.
What striped ones? No. Well, no, yes, it depends on what. But yes, well, yes, it depends on what, he says. What is also determined by Chavismo, he says, is Castroism in relation to the rights, Yorubas, and all that topic. Also the topic of Santeria and all that, which is widely practiced in Cuba, right? And it said that's why Bolivar's exhumation happened. Okay. Well, that's another topic, right? How some politicians here in Mexico also handle it.
Yes, Santeria.
Also involved in similar things, right? Let's say yes.
Yes. Shamanism? Yes. What was your name? Salinas? Was it? Yes, as I remember, what was it called? That at one point it really caught the media's attention. Yes, greetings to Hires. He says, Pablo Gonzalez is in charge of the Presidential Commission for Electoral Reform. Very dangerous. But they still haven't reached an agreement, and now the Morenistas have come out to say that it's not a good time for the reform.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just that it's tough. I mean, many of those reforms have been, for example, this attempt they've made to regulate, they've done it several times, both the Partido Acción Nacional and the Institutional Revolutionary Party, to create regulations. For example, with memes and similar things, those temptations they constantly face are intense, right? And now, with these latest regulations, which come from the judicial branch regarding the Instituto Nacional Electoral, all of these.
The Mandala Aurelio, the PAC.
The money.
But all the gossip that came out of there was incredible, like a lion, a sacrifice, some really crazy stuff. Greetings to Mauro Maurun, who says, well, just imagine if Greenland goes to the hands of the United States, the European Union would be worse off. They need to not allow it and look for solutions, says Mauro. Greetings.
Yes, and it was very curious the reaction they had today about this. Their reaction, their punishments. For example, the issue with Iran, this. They put on a whole show to say that officials from the country, from Iran, won't be allowed to enter European Union buildings. And you say, wow, what a punishment, right? They must be shaking in their boots, and suddenly they lose, credibility, right? The European Union or whatever, because suddenly they make these moves. And I understand that they do it. That they comment on it. I understand that they do it, but not that they comment on it. They publish it as if it were a big move, like, oh, we're doing something against the Iranian regime. And all they do is say, I forbid you. The question in the Twitter comments when they announced that was like, oh, so they used to let them through, or what? It was like, well, yeah. It's logical. Like, why would they? Why would Iranian officials be coming in just like that? They're to that place, unless they're invited for something, I don't know, like little punishments they give them, yeah.
Yeah, they need to be stronger.
Yeah,
all the time it seems like they're scared. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And that just makes it worse. And what does the Ayatollah's regime do? The opposite, right? They're always making threats saying they'll destroy them while these guys just give out joke punishments. Honestly, yeah. Greetings, Aurelio. How have you been, Pixel? He says, but those who make deals with these guys, he says, they end up paying for it themselves, he says later.
Health always, that's true?
He always says that, yes.
Yes, greetings to Carlos too. Well, Carlos, we already greeted him. Greetings.
Greetings, hello.
And here Maria Elena says, how are you, Maria Elena? She says, good evening, very delicious. The Rosca de Reyes in Tehuacan, we buy them from the little towns.
Little towns, yes.
Little towns, yes, they're less sweet and they're delicious, right? I love that they have that flavor I hadn't tasted in a long time. One that had an orange flavor, because sometimes you buy some that taste like or look like they taste like bread, basically, just a little softer.
Just bread, yes. If not...
This one truly captured orange flavor with real bits.
Greetings, Cebola. How are you?
Greetings, Cebola. Greetings to Navarro's dad, who says Russia is playing off the wall with the United States in the case of Greenland. It's provoking Trump to invade. And with this, it marks the end of NATO. Exactly, that's what they want.
And the big question is whether that's the plan, right? I mean, because this whole situation seems very logical to me. I mean, this whole topic seems surreal. In fact, it seemed more like a typical call for attention to put on a show. But when you start to see that there are meetings, that there's even a military plan, and all of this, then you start to think, but this is escalating, and Denmark isn't letting its guard down. They've already begun to act.
They said they knew it was serious? Yes.
And now, with this idea from NATO to send, well, also NATO soldiers.
I'm not sharing anything myself. This is just a White House post, and you have to wonder why they post things like this. I mean, they're just like troublemakers. That's what you call them, troublemakers, to the European Union. Come on, I'm going to take a walk, that's for sure, I know.
Let's see.
It says monitoring the situation.
The photo is split into 3 sections.
Yes, it's split into 3 like a photo outside the Oval Office. What do you see?
Let me see. Hold on.
Hold on.
Give me a second. It's taken me a while to set this up because it's very...
Because it's better. Yes, thanking her. Yes. It's a photo from outside the house from the Oval Office, and you can see through the window what they're supposedly looking at in the office. No, you can see the map of Greenland.
I mean, there's Trump. It's divided into 3. And there's Trump watching, and he's seeing that Greenland is on the map, let's say. I mean, he's looking over there. Not exactly...
evaluating the situation.
And this is a post, if I scroll up, that's directly from the White House. I mean, it's an official post from the White House. And, well, it's about playing there, you know, with the pressure. Stirring things up. Yeah, stirring things up.
That's the right word, Pepe. Greetings to, says Piston. I want you to give your opinion about the students in Zapayotzinapan who are missing, and the president bores me when he talks. I want the sons of Uruguay to tell me something, says Piston.
Hi, how's Uruguay? That's a huge topic we could talk about forever.
Something to clarify as well?
I mean...
if the government hasn't changed, things remain unclear.
Yeah.
Caribel says it's the flavor of chance and the classic taste of rice.
Greetings. Very good, right? Yeah, that's just to make a special about the topic because it's really something. Let's see if we go for it with Jerez or not. Go for it, Este. And there are still many topics left to discuss. Things that have happened in recent years to understand a little bit about how the situation is right now. But anyway, what else?
Marcela Riquelme Trump says president of Venezuela. That was just a joke.
Yes, it was a...
It was a joke, but now the two of us have been separated by eyelashes.
He says, greetings, Marcela Tapatia. Piston says, make a judgment and value the students. Piston says, judgment and value. What do you mean by that? I mean, this Piston? Nelly, how have you been? Greetings.
Pepe says, I hope Iran falls to improve the Middle East. Greetings.
Very good.
He says they removed a group of troublemakers because they cause problems.
Who?
The Ayatollahs?
The Ayatollahs, yes.
They've only known war. Proxy?
He says, the White House account would be very funny and good if it weren't official. It seems like it acts like a troll account. In fact, sometimes I've had to do that too. I've also had to check several times, like, wait a minute.
Is this for real? He says,
yes, it's real. Then you check and see it's the official account.
Like when they post anime pictures of Trump flying a plane and shooting.
No, that time it was excrement.
Excrement. Or imagine you say it's the White House. It's not just anything.
And sharing images like that, well, yeah, it's crazy.
He says, Reverend Trump, I think he's a psychopath, a sociopath, or a good strategist of...
He has a bit of everything. Suddenly, because look, it does seem like he improvises a lot and he's probably doing it, but in many cases it works for him. The issue is whether what works for him now is sustainable. If it is, that's great, but many things he does just aren't. Now, and that's not even considering many problems on the darker side, right? And that's why it surprises me when I read about people, especially those who are very, very focused on religious conservatism, and they go and defend all of this. And you say, dude, have you read even a little bit about their past? Have you seen everything they've been involved in and everything they've done? I mean, not even counting the Epstein issue, which is a whole other dark topic. You know, there's just no way to defend any of that.
It's super forced, for example, with all the pastors of these mega churches.
That they have him there, like, yeah.
That they basically have him as some kind of enlightened one. So in the end, trying to justify the thing about Venezuela's oil, they would say, isn't oil only for God's people and whatever, and God commands us to take their oil away from them. I mean, you know, it says you shall not steal, right? They say, yeah, it's tough.
They agree, hoping Iran brings more peace to the Middle East and the United States brings more peace globally.
She says this greeting. I mean, she says, hey, what happened with the politicians from Venezuela? They've been trickling out little by little.
Gradually. So far, only a few have been confirmed by Foro Penal, the organization. This non-governmental organization, which is the one that has been recording the names, says it has 49 confirmed names. Of those released, 49, there are more than 900, maybe 1,000. Well, there are different figures, but there are many more, and they have not been released. No, they don't say that about those we know. Human rights must be respected. A democracy protects its people, not kills them. Especially not young students, he says. Piston, greetings, Piston.
He says here.
And even though I say that, well, obviously, right? I think that's not even necessary to mention because obviously, well, never ever, for absolutely no reason. You should never attack or shoot at groups of young students. Whether you agree or disagree with them or their actions, you can't attack them like that, especially not in that manner, right? And clearly from several levels of government, right? That's also pretty well documented here. Well, the thing is, certain levels haven't been reached. No, certain levels haven't been touched. That would relate to that issue, not the one about the 43, right? I happened to be in a talk with the survivors in a small classroom at a school because they came here to Nuevo León. They visited several universities like Tec de Monterrey, maybe Universidad de Monterrey too, and some schools, right? And a group of those who survived came here, those who lived through that situation, and a lot of what was told, what these young people told us, well, yes, it's much harsher than what has been said about the topic, not about how the attack happened. No, so yes, it's really shocking, right? The situation is really tough. Those who brought them, those who organized, let's say, this kind of tour, so to speak, here in Nuevo León. Because here in Nuevo León, what happens many times with certain cases is that people here don't find out. Yes, so they're disconnected from a lot of things that suddenly happen. In the center, in the south of the country. So this initiative from some guys here at Tec de Monterrey was to bring them and basically take them to several universities. I imagine also to the media so that they could get to know that version of reality, right? And well, I found it interesting, he says. Hugs and encouragement to all colleagues. Thank you very much, Marilena. Greetings. Thank you so much for being here. Greetings to your family over there in Puebla, he says here. Thank you very much. Greetings, Piston. Very good Sunday. Lagunes, they say. And Jack Sparrow?
I dared to go this far. You know what's craziest? He's already losing. Like the record of so many things Trump says, not just the lies he tells today. They asked him, hey, you? He said he would give a $2,000 check to certain people because of the tariffs. I said that. I mean, he even forgot. Or is he just pretending, right? I don't know which one it is, but he says so many things that he already forgets what he says Ricardo. If Iran falls, Turkey is next, and hopefully so.
Well, Turkey, even though it has an autocrat there, I mean, it's getting closer and closer to becoming, well, a dictator. Formally, no, it's this Erdogan. Well, it's a country that at the same time they want to have on their side. So Erdogan has managed to be very clever, hasn't he? To stay in power, even though he has completely crushed the opposition, right? I mean, he's a character who sooner or later will have to deal with the problem. What I think they're waiting for is for him to pass away. Let's say not this Erdogan at some point, but as you see, he's not that old. About 70 or 73, I think. I mean, he's much younger than Trump, for example. Well, several years younger, so he could keep going for many more years, right? This one, says Igmo Gortis. Greetings, how have you been? Greetings to Colombia. Very good. Thank you so much, Maria Elena. How have you been? Greetings. Well, let's go.
Let's go, guys. We're on WhatsApp, Telegram, X, Facebook, Instagram, and we notify you about live streams.
Big hug. Hope you're all well. See you later. We interrupt your regular programming. Thank you for tuning in.
Honestly,
This is PP Live.
The truth is intense, the unusual is real. We analyze it here. Global perspective. Don't miss out. Tune into the PP Live channel with Pepe and Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism, here it's respected. Turn on notifications, don't lose track until next time. Yes, sir, we're taking attendance. Subscribe.